It's the time for the package from China. Let's go! This time we're getting a very interesting configuration with white PlayStation Fake 2 controllers, and the overall quality, well, it's not bad at all. A little bit of wibbly button over here, but the quality, oh man. Oh, there are not even like micro switches underneath, or it's already broken from the start. No, it's not with these models. It's so weird, you know, so they have so many different configurations. We have two AAA batteries that we're going to be putting in there. So the game stick is also a very interesting, like a very big one. So the 4K game stick is an absolutely massive one. We can have the 64 gigabyte configuration, but this time we are still using the fake, like say, horrible cheap SD cards. The quality wise, when you're looking at it, it's not bad at all. Later we're going to be doing a teardown to see how it is in the inside. So having the micro USB cable for the power, extension cord, toilet paper manual, and it's kind of funny that they're just showing a completely different game stick. So this is just a random manual that like laying around. I'm hoping we're not going to get this menu, because the menu you're seeing over here is pretty horrible. I've been checking it out, and most of these sticks are already dead in the collection, because there's the cards, the major problem. But let's connect it and let's have some fun, because I am curious if this is going to be any fun. To give you an idea how you need to connect it, so the dongle that comes with it only has one dongle and two, let's say, controller configuration. Alright, so next up we're going to having the micro USB. This is going to be plugging in here. Then this is going to be plugged in into a power supply. Sometimes I did use the USB cable in your television, but it can be a little bit problematic that the system doesn't even boot up due of having not enough power. So that's it, and let's plug this, let's say, extension cord in, because this is just a way too big stick. So it's not a stick that we're going to be sticking in, we're just going to be letting it dangling around. Okay, so the menu, this is something I've seen many times before now. So we're going to be changing a lot of these game stick into better menus. I already mentioned before with the manual unboxing that most of them had like these, like say, weird manuals, like Pandora's box, like also style menus, and man, that's absolutely horrible. So when it comes to this, I could have all kinds of different systems, which you can see here. I love the tiny thumbnails over here. So we can get into the menu. The naming is awful. Like, I know what it actually means, but like Art of Fighting 1, 2, 3, but this is not the full name. And let me explain what the problem is. So let's say we're going to be searching, pressing the Y, and you want to search Art of Fighting. I am guessing that it will not find it at all. Let's say Art. Oh, okay. That is interesting that it does show it in the arcade. So, okay. But I think that has to do because it's already in here. So it's kind of interesting to see, but there is also no alphabetic order. So the listing itself is already a little bit messy. But indeed, so they're searching, so we're having like the same game on different platforms. Okay, that's clear. Inferno Burn Alpha is in here, MAME, but I also wanted to mainly focus on the higher end stuff, because when it comes to the game boxes, yeah, most of the 8-bit, 16-bit stuff runs fine. System game settings over here. So there's not much that we can actually see. It's kind of fortunate. Version M15. And the language can be changed out in different ones if you want to. Restore default settings. But I think this is just going to be rebooting everything. It doesn't do any damage when it comes to the game list. That is one thing. And it would not be the first time if you can format your full drive. But it's kind of unfortunate that there is nothing we can do. And in particular when it comes to the advanced, we cannot have this unlock system. But also we cannot do anything with how you need to set up the freaking joystick. Yeah, that is something I'm missing out that we could do with other models. So if your controllers are just dying or breaking, there's no way of adding new ones. Oh boy, this is really bad. It's kind of interesting to see that every single game stick has their own quick load menu. And this is no different, having this menu with no settings. You can make a quick save over here and just load to the certain point. There are no slots whatsoever, so what you see is what you're getting. But let's start off with some Neo Geo gaming. And I can tell you, these sticks will run just fine with 8-bit, 16-bit and arcade, but I just want to do a quick overview. Also checking out how the D-pad is. The D-pad is awful. That's more of the general problem with these Awful cheap controllers. The analog stick seems to be working okay. But no, this is not the way how you want to play. So let's go to the loading time, and you can see it works like a charm, and we can quit the game like that. So when it comes to the main, so a lot of games will run just fine, but we do have like a widescreen shenanigans going on. And what is even more worse, this is normally, I think I've called it like if you're going to be having an upright cabinet, I'm thinking it correctly. So having the screen rotated 45 degrees. So that's actually how you should play these games. Sometimes with some of the game stick emulators, we do have like two massive left-right bars. They have the best aspect ratio that you can get, but yeah, this is just completely extremely wide. It's just, no, this is not the way how you want to experience this game. But the emulation performance itself is just great. One thing I did notice with some of these, let's say, devices, that everything seems to be running just fine, but the game list itself is a complete mess. And what do I mean? Like the naming is a mess, no alphabetic order, but also games are in the wrong category. So it's quite unfortunate, where we do have overall great emulation performance, the naming already mentioned before. So it's just a mess when it comes to the system. But most of the games, particularly 8-bit, 16-bit, are spelled right, so we can find them through the search system. Oh boy, this is absolutely awful. Game Boy Classic with a widescreen. And think about it, I'm playing on 24 inches. If you're thinking about like 40 inches of like a television, this is not going to be looking any good. I think they did use and implement a filter to have a little bit better graphics. But yeah, this is just awful. But the emulation is quite good. But where these sticks are kind of cool are for the PlayStation 1, because it runs absolutely great. So with Ridge Racer, you know, there are some famous parts where we do have some hiccups because it runs on not the best emulator out there. I think it's DuckStation. Did I notice some minor hiccups here and there? Wow. But the button mapping is not like it should be. Okay. But you can see that it is, ooh, it stutters a lot. You can just see that it has a lot of frame drift, or at least I can see it over here. So that is not good. So button mapping is not right. But also when it comes to, say, the overall controls, man, what a choppy situation. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. So it's kind of disappointing, because a lot of game sticks can run PlayStation 1 without any problem. But this is for me unplayable. They completely messed it up. And another problem many mentioned, there was no way of actually getting into, let's say, the settings of the control. So what you see is what you're getting, and it's one hot mess. Emulation wise, but also control wise. And of course the sound, they didn't implement it, and they're doing this to save up space, or just not like motivated to add the original soundtrack. So we're having Silent Tekken and Silent Ridge Racer. That's kind of weird. Now the bottom map seems to be working like it should be.